Coconuts are so good out there. Like the thick white meat coconut stuff we have out here. I mean, that's the stuff they feed to their pigs out there. Like the coconuts, like out there, when you get them young, then, I mean, some Pohnpei will shinny up a coconut tree and whack you off a stalk of them and bring it down, and you just take your machete, you just open up the top of it, and when you get them when they're just right, I mean, they're young and they're just sweet, super sweet, and they're almost fizzy. It tastes almost like they're carbonated when you get them in just the right state. And then you hack them in half, and the meat on the inside of the coconut, it hasn't formed all the way yet. It's almost like a white gelatin-like substance on the inside. So you just hack off a bit of the husk and use that as a spoon and just eat the coconut. And that's the stuff they eat. The thick white stuff, they'll like grind that out and throw it to their pigs. Like for us, that's like a delicacy, but for them, that's like, it means the coconut's gone bad and we can't use it anymore. But young coconut, whew, so good and really good for you, actually. Like, it's supposed to be one of the best hydrating drinks in the world. Miss coconuts. The islanders, the kids will like play with the spiders, and I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of spiders, especially those ones about this big. They're called banana spiders. Really fierce looking spiders. They hold their legs about 2 in front and 2 in back instead of having all 4 spread out. So they look like spider ninjas. I mean, they're pretty cool. But I saw Pohnpeian kids who would just grab these spiders out of their webs, and then the spider would be scurrying around on their hand, and of course it'd drop down trying to get away, and they just grab the spider web as it dropped down, and it looked like they were playing with a yo-yo as the spider keeps trying to drop down and get away from them. And I was like, no way, I cannot do that. Until I saw like this 6-year-old Pohnpeian girl do it. And I was like, all right, I cannot let her show me up. So finally I got one, and it's a weird feeling. I mean, because I'm not a fan of spiders. I'm not like scared of spiders. I'll kill spiders for my little sisters and stuff, but like having that crawl over my hand, and that was pretty weird. They eat dog. I had dog out there. Dog was delicious, by the way. It was like a roast beef kind of. My family's horrified that I even say that. I mean, because we have a dog and we love our dog. My little sister, she came up to me as soon as I was home, and she said, "You're not gonna eat Lexi, are you?" Lexi's our dog. So yeah, dog was delicious though. I thoroughly enjoyed eating dog. The social structure is interesting there. Parents don't take care of their kids like we do here. And I'm not going to say it's wrong and we're right, or we're right and they're wrong, or vice versa. But they don't care for their kids like we do. Like, I've seen a Pohnpeian kid that when he falls down, then here, that age of kid, I mean, the kid was probably 1, maybe 2, just learning how to walk, fell down. Here we would have coddled them and gone taking care of them, but Pohnpeians are like, come on, get back up. Go. Like, they don't worry about it. And for that, I guess one of those contributes to the fact that Pohnpeians are just kind of a little more tough than we are out here. I mean, I saw a Pohnpeian kid, he was playing volleyball. He fell down, gashed his knee. I mean, it's like bleeding and everything, and there's gravel and stuff in it. And he looks down, he's kind of like, ah, darn. He brushes his knee off and he keeps playing. I mean, they just keep going. They just get cut and stuff, bruised, and life just kind of moves on for them. It's funny. They'll when we go out to Mwech, then they'll give. I mean, down to probably 9 years old, everyone has a machete. I mean, this kid's walking around with a knife longer than his arm, and he knows how to use it. Like, he's just whacking away. Everyone's whacking away at the jungle and everything. I mean, that's just how it is. We don't let our kids use butter knives until they're like 12. Like, it's a different dynamic. It's not cultural to show emotion. So to cry publicly is frowned upon, basically. To show outward emotion other than anger, I guess, at a justified cause, then it's pretty frowned upon. As well as signs of affection. I never once saw Pohnpeians kiss. Be they man or wife, newlywed, elderly, I mean, doesn't matter. I never saw them kiss ever, or hug. I mean, I guess I saw it maybe once or twice in kind of like a greeting thing, but never as an affectionate thing. With the American culture slowly making its way there, I mean, you have televisions, they have some movies, they're getting more and more introduced to American culture. I saw kind of a shift in that even over the 2 years that I was there. When I was there, all of the women, all of them, wore uroses, is what it's called, which is basically a skirt. And they all wore that all the time. That's just how it was. At the end of my mission, I would say that it moved to maybe 60% of the girls there, specifically elementary to high school, were wearing pants and were wearing shorts. And I'm not saying that that's bad or that it's good, but it's just a shift in culture that they're slowly getting more and more Americanized. I had a couple of elderly Pohnpei people, a number of them actually, that told me how they didn't like American culture, how it was ruining what they were doing, and yet they're sitting in their cement house eating rice with Spam. I mean, like, it's a battle kind of between the cultures right now, and as the generations move on, then the Pohnpei culture is slowly being phased out in some ways. First of all, I'll say I love the local food. I mean, there was not any of it that I tasted that I did not like. I mean, there's really good stuff out there. Some of the stuff they eat a lot of is bananas. They grow a lot of bananas out there. And I'm not talking like the bananas we have here. I'm talking like half size, but so sweet and so delicious. I mean, coming out, the bananas out here is like eating chalk. I mean, dry and tasteless compared to those things. So they're small. They have, I mean, there are 20, 30 varieties of bananas out there. You have like your Uchin Manila, which is like a kind of a wider variety. You have Uchin Yap, which is like a more orange variety. You have Karach, which is almost like a potato. I mean, it's big, and then you pull it, the skin is really thick, and it's more orange as well. A little more creamy of a banana. I don't even know how to describe it, but they're really good. The bananas, they're really good. They'll eat them fresh, they'll eat them fried, they'll boil them, which kind of defeats the purpose for me because it takes all the taste out of it and just turns it super dry, but you can store it longer that way. So the bananas are delicious. They eat a lot of rice. They don't grow rice there. It's imported to the country, but they love rice. Eat a lot of rice. Eat rice with every meal. Love it. They love like Spam and corned beef. Because when World War II went through there, I mean, that was what they were given when the island food wasn't enough. Like after the Japanese went through and the Americans went through, and then they kind of got a taste for Spam and corned beef there, and I love it. Like, Spam is awesome. So breadfruit's about the size of a football, and I mean they can get bigger or smaller, but about the size of a football. It's green, and it's kind of a pimply skin on it. You can't eat it raw. It's inedible raw. Ugh, gross. Like, you wouldn't want to touch that stuff raw. But what they do is they'll bake it in an underground oven. So they'll light a fire, they'll heat up a bunch of rocks, they'll dig a shallow pit, and they'll line it with banana leaves. And then banana leaves are huge. Like, you're good to line with banana leaves. They'll put the rocks in there, they'll put more banana leaves down, then they'll put all the breadfruit in there. More banana leaves, more rocks, more banana leaves. Cover it. And then they'll leave it in there for half a day or so. And then when they pull it out, it's really hard to describe the texture of these things. It's kind of like a baked potato. A little more chewy, not quite as starchy as a baked potato, but almost tasteless after they've oomed it like that. So they'll put like coconut milk on it, and that's the best. With the coconut milk, or sometimes they'll slice it into wedges and fry it, but they eat a lot of breadfruit out there. They eat everything from the sea. Everything that comes out of the ocean, I mean, you're gonna eat it. It's great. I had octopus, I had shellfish, I had shark. Shark was delicious. They have what's called sashimi out there, which when you think of sushi here, that's when you think raw fish. Well, sushi is like a piece of raw fish inside of a rice roll. Sashimi is like pull the fish out of the water, wipe off the scales, eat it. Like cut slices into it. That's what they do. They have the fish on a plate, which will be freshly fished that day, and they'll cut some slices into it and cut a couple slices this way, and then you'll just pull it right off the fish and eat it, and it's the best thing. I mean, it's delicious. And when they have limes out there that grow They're quite a bit smaller. They're circular, about that big. But they'll put some lime on it, or they'll put like these ultra hot little peppers on there. They're called sela. They'll put those on it, and that is delicious. Like, that's my food of choice right there. Give me some sashimi that's been sitting in sela for a little while. But that is excellent. They eat a lot of chicken. They love chicken. They have another dish out there where they take breadfruit and they mash it up until it's just all mashed up, about the consistency of really thick baby food, I guess, almost gooey. But they'll put it in like a bucket or some other container, and they'll bury it. And I'm talking like for months. Like, it's just sitting down there, and there's something going on, because when they pull it out, that stuff is nasty. That's probably the only food I didn't like. I'll amend my earlier statement. That's the only food I didn't like, was this stuff they had buried for months. They'll pull it out and they'll eat it. I guess the sour rantedness of it, really, they liked it. I don't know, but they ate a lot of that. Top ramen, a lot of ramen as well. I mean, if it's cheap and they can buy it, like, they love it. But I really like the food out there. The food is delicious. For little small periods of time, if it doesn't rain for a couple of weeks, then no one has water, so you'll end up bathing in a river. That's always exciting. Just wear like basketball shorts or something and just, hike down to the nearest river and go to town. Some of the cool places to visit while you're there: Guam has a lot of World War II history stuff. That's always interesting. Palau is one of the more beautiful islands. Yap is one of the strongest culturally based islands. I wouldn't recommend Googling pictures of Yap. Culturally, the women there don't wear anything above their waists. Palau has a lake there called Jellyfish Lake that have no natural predators to the jellyfish. So over, I don't know how many years, but the jellyfish have lost their ability to sting. So it's one of the only places, maybe the only place in the world, where you can actually go scuba diving there and be diving amongst jellyfish and not have them sting you. In Pohnpei, there's a place called Nan Mathal, and it's basically ruins of a powerful dynasty that used to rule Pohnpei. There are structures there, walls, buildings, towers that have been built out of kind of stone logs that were quarried from another place on the island. And to put it in perspective, each of the stones in the Great Pyramid of Egypt are a couple of tons in weight. It's significant to move those. Each of the stones in Nan Mathal are 12 to 13 tons in weight. Significantly heavier, and they have no idea what happened to this civilization. They're just these ruins out there that, there's, if you go to ruins elsewhere in the world, it's all roped off, and there are only certain places you can go, but they don't have that there. You just go and you can climb all over these things, and they're super strong, super well-built structures, but no one knows what happened to the civilization there. That's probably the coolest thing to go see in Micronesia, is to go see the ruins of Nan Mathal. If more people knew about it, it'd be the 8th wonder of the world. It is amazing. In Chuuk, they had a number of large naval battles there. And so some of the best scuba diving in the world is to go to the Chuukese Islands, the Chuukese Lagoon, and to go diving over there, because they have tons of World War II sunken ships out there. And it's pretty cool stuff. There was one night where it was getting a little bit dark, and it gets dark a little faster than it does, I guess, for us here, because you have so much jungle and so much humidity in the air that stops the light, and then so few lights. It's just jungle. People have kerosene lanterns, some people have electricity, but everyone's, it's pretty dark pretty early. But we're out, and then the clouds start coming in, and it starts pouring on us, which, happens frequently. So you take out your wallet, and you take out your book, and you put it in the wet sack, and then you just keep going. We actually had a senior couple with us at the time. And so we take this senior couple, bless their hearts, we go down one trail, and in this trail you have to cross 2 rivers, essentially. And there's a little band of rocks that normally is above the river, but was not when we went there. And we were about up to our waist in water, and it's just coming down, soaking us like crazy. I took a waterproof camera, which was actually really, really helpful. But we finally got to the house, and they didn't expect us. They fully did not expect us to come. They're like, no white people trek out in weather like this. I mean, that happens pretty frequently, where you'll be out and it'll be just pouring, absolute pouring rain. I mean, you can't see your hand in front of your face, just dripping wet. You just learn to be wet and learn to love it. The animal life on Pohnpei was actually kind of disappointing. It's not as exotic as far as the animal life goes. I mean, there's lots of dogs, some cats, lots of mice, lots of rats. The insects you would expect to be pretty bad, but all in all, they weren't that bad out there. Lots and lots of spiders though. I mean, lots of spiders. And these things range from, I mean, super tiny spiders to the pretty typical ones were about that big. Or we had ones that got to be this big. We call those hunter spiders. They were really hard to kill because they're super fast. But they don't stay in webs. So I mean, you'll go in your apartment. I mean, in your concrete hut, there's an area for showering, and so you'll go in there, and there'll be one of those on the wall, and you'll trip out for a second, but you get used to it. Lots of cockroaches. None of the spiders bite. That's one good thing. There's one thing you want to be careful of. They're in Pohnpei, and they're called the menenran, which is the giant centipedes, is basically what they are. So they're centipedes that will grow to about this big, and they're either a dark red color or a dark blue color, and those are pretty poisonous. I mean, they got nasty fangs on the front. If you get bitten by one of those, like, you'll want to go to the hospital there and get it checked out. Or there was one time when I saw some Pohnpeians actually playing with one on their hands, and I was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, that thing will bite you. That's not okay. And they're like, no, it's okay. We ripped out the fangs, so it can't bite anyone anymore. I was like, all right. Well, then I want to play with it. Like, I see what's going on here. So I took it, and having that thing, I mean, it's this long. I mean, big old centipede, just having it crawl all over your hand, and that was one of the weirdest feelings. But as far as animal life, that's about as exciting as it gets. The plant life, however, is amazing out there. Just because it rains so much, I mean, green, like more than I've ever seen green before in my life. I mean, you have jungle that's just, I mean, up 20 feet, just right against the road. And there's one road that goes all the way around the island. And it's just right next to the road. I mean, giant trees, vines, banana trees, breadfruit trees, foliage, just covering this place. And it's kind of fun just to take a machete, and there's just so much jungle. You're just whacking away at it. I mean, there's nothing more manly than holding a machete and just whacking away at jungle. Like, that is fun. But the foliage is just amazing out there. There's a plant that when you touch it, then all of its leaves curl up just immediately. And it's so weird to watch. You'll just run your finger down a leaf, and all of the leaves will just close up. Banana trees are interesting. They're a lot less like trees and more like weeds in some cases. They're about this big around. They're super soft. I mean, you can slice right through one of them with a machete. But how they grow is just one giant leaf coming out and pulling out and then dying. And they just have that process going on. And once they've harvested the bananas off of them, then they'll just whack the tree down at the base, and then it will just grow right up again. I mean, it will just constantly keep growing. I saw islanders take a breadfruit tree, and I mean, this breadfruit tree is probably this big around, and about 20 feet up, they just lopped it off, just took it off. And as far as all the trees I knew, that'd just kill them off. I mean, you're done. Your tree gets lopped right there, like, you're out of it. But this thing, I mean, one of its branches just kind of grew off the side and just kept going, and within 6 months, I mean, it was looking pretty good again. Like, the foliage is amazing out there. I've never seen anything like it. Kosrae is really small. You only have a few thousand people there. It's very flat, and all around it, I mean, you got these beautiful white sand beaches. They don't roll their R's like the rest of the Micronesians do in their languages. So a word like daronkom, that's exactly how they'd say it. It wouldn't be like daronkom, which would be how the other Micronesians would say it. But daronkom means like, hey, be careful, you. Or komfaka, is how are you? Or like Ashmo is their food. The Yapese Islands are actually 3 islands that are closely connected, so they're all connected by bridges. They're all close enough. The Yapese people all know English fairly well, but you will learn Yapese and or Woliayan while you're there, which are the 2 main languages there. Pohnpei is shaped almost circular. The areas that people live in are far enough apart that within the island itself you have different accents and different dialects, not nearly that far, but people do speak a little bit differently from area to area. And you have 1 road that goes around the whole island. The culture on Pohnpei, it's very, very open, very welcoming. They have kings there. Each municipality has its cultural king. Within their culture and their language is built in kind of an honorific system. So you end up learning almost 4 or 5 different languages in learning the language, because when I am speaking to a king, I need to speak humiliatively about myself and royal honorifically about the king. If I'm speaking to someone who's just more elderly than I am, then I would speak regular honorifically about them, and perhaps regular or perhaps humiliatively about myself. But when I'm speaking to someone on the same level, then I can speak just regular speech to them and regular about myself. Like, I guess a small example would be the word to sit, which, starting from the bottom, humiliatively is pachoti, regular would be monti, honorific is kechti, and royal honorific would be moleti. So you use almost completely different words to communicate with people that are of a different rank than you are, I suppose. So the culture is very, very embedded in everything they do, down to the language.